Welcome. We are glad to have you guys join us today for our Workday Extend Use Cases webinar. This webinar is the first of our Workday Extend series. Your presenters today will be Rob Pelos, the Chief Technology Officer, and Nicholas Trandom, a manager in our integration services team. This webinar will be recorded and the presentation will be sent out to all of you that are in attendance. We have time dedicated at the end of the webinar for questions. So as you think of questions throughout the webinar, feel free to add those to the Q&A button down in the bottom of the Zoom. We will also provide contact information at the end as well for any further questions that we may not get to. So now I would like to turn it over to Nicholas and Rob for the presentation.
Thanks, Kaylee. Hi, everyone. This is Rob Pelos. Pleasure to have you all with us today. Looking forward to talking a little bit about Workday Extend. Go to the next slide, please. Of course, we've got a safe harbor slide in here, as every good Workday presentation does, but Extend is new technology. We've been working with it for a while, but and we'll speak to what it's capable of today, we believe, but with new technologies, there's always the possibility for forward-looking statements, so I encourage you to make an evaluation based on the features and functionalities and how it would meet your needs today. By way of introduction, for those of you who aren't familiar with Intecrowd, Intecrowd is a boutique Workday services partner focused on integrations and phase 2 deployments and AMS services and client-side support services. Where all we do is Workday, so we focus entirely on Workday services. I've worked on a lot of different projects with a lot of different customers in a lot of different places, and Workday Extend being some of those projects. For further introduction, here's a slide about me. I'm our CTO and have been in the Workday ecosystem for greater than 9 years. I was trained originally on Workday 13. I'm a Workday product lead, both for integrations and upcoming announcement, expect to be so for Extend as well. Background as a developer, software architect, team lead, and executive. Next, Nicholas, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, thanks, Rob. I'm Nicholas Trandom. I'm a manager in our integration services department, and I've been working with Workday Extend since it was released in 2017. I've come from a background of full stack custom application development. So I'm really been excited these last couple of years to be able to bring that experience and interest to bear within the Workday ecosystem. Thanks.
Thanks. So what is Workday Extend? Well, it's a set of development tools. It's a collection of APIs and different pieces and components that allow us to work together. And like Nicholas said, to really leverage a software development lifecycle and a software development experience to create custom functionality, custom apps that we can build and deploy to Workday and have it exist in the Workday environment. So really leveraging the power of one, leveraging the consistent user experience, the consistent security model, the ability to access a consistent system that people are familiar with, and then but extend or expand the functionality of what's possible. So things like custom screens, including conditional flows and conditional field values and logic, and selecting, what you pick on one screen affects the next, and so on. But doing screens and fields that are not like anything else that might be in Workday. The extension of possibilities is quite literally limitless from the standpoint of scope and possible ideas that we could come up with. Custom worklets and custom tasks can be used to access the app. So again, just familiar things. You search for something, you put in supply orders in the search bar in Workday, and up comes this custom task that didn't used to be there before, and away you go. And the user's not necessarily wiser to the fact that it's an Extend app or anything different. It's just there and it just works, and it's all part of the same system. So it seamlessly weaves into that people experience. The new parts of the people experience as well is going to be an exciting aspect, but consistent in the user experience there. Also allows us to include external data stores, being able to access data from other systems and other places, and be able to now pull and display that within Workday, to be able to enter that data in Workday, but have it be stored somewhere else, and expose that to the users who are in Workday. Safe for upgrades, it leverages the power of one. It's without getting into a whole technical discussion, it gets into the Workday code line and deploys as part of the Workday code line to the specified tenants that it's allowed for, and it's so it's really tightly integrated. It's not a separate bolt-on like this piece goes to this tenant. It actually goes into the code line and then is told how to deploy to which tenants. And so the point of all that is it's really neat, and it's also safe for upgrades as part of the upgrade process. Not to say that we wouldn't test it, just like we would test any other part of Workday to make sure that our key functionality still works with an update, but it's meant to be part of that process. And lots more to come in the future. All sorts of exciting things. We've got a hackathon coming up at the end of the month where Workday is, we're sponsoring and competing, but we're expecting to get our hands on all sorts of new and fun features that we'll be excited to work with and use in the future. So the status is that it's a separate SKU. It is a separate license that you need to get in order to be able to have and use Workday Extend. It went generally available in May, so customers are buying it and using it and building, and we're working with a customer who purchased the license after general availability and building an app for them, and on track to go live shortly. And but there are a lot of customers who have been using it, and early adopter programs and fast follower programs. So it's not new to the point where you don't know if it's going to work. It's established, it's known. We know that it works because there's over 75 customers with it and over 90 apps are live. So people have been using this tool to build things that create real value for their organizations, to create return on investment, and continue to every day. And so there's a lot of opportunity here for you and for your organization as well. As you come up with use cases, or shall we say ideas of how could you use this technology to solve a problem or a need in your business, they do get reviewed. Workday wants to make sure that you're not building something that they're already working on building, and save you the time and effort and cost of that, and also that it's going to work. And so with the functionality that's there as part of Extend at the point that your go live is targeted for. So use cases have to be reviewed, and then once that's approved and you get the license and so on, then clients get access to the tools and training to be able to train your own people. So this is a point where you can have a consulting company engaged like Intecrowd in order to help you build an application, or to build it for you, and any combination thereof of where your own people can be getting trained and working right alongside us to help write the code and build the application and perhaps support it on their own, depending on your technology capabilities and programming skill set and so on. So certainly anything, the gamut of possibilities there for staffing is possible. Certified partner resources do need to assist with the project, since we have been involved for years and know some of the nuances and ins and outs, but certainly it can be either all staffed by the partner or partly staffed by the client and their technical resources. Next slide, please. Very good. So what are customers doing with this power, with this capability? Well, several different things. So we'll click through some of these and see some ideas here. So think about tracking the use of employee discounts, and deducting purchases from payroll. The company store type situation, where we have a customer that we're working with and they're doing this and offering things to their employees as an employee benefit at a discount, but instead of having to have a manual process and paperwork and move things around and so on, they select it right in the system. It gets deducted from payroll. and away we go. And it's going to save them lots of time and lots of money. Real-time interactions with employees. We're going to show you some examples of an example of this in a little bit, but of notifying managers and employees when some things aren't happening. Or another situation we worked on was collecting feedback from users in natural work environments like Slack, of just being able to have the Workday system extend its reach and its impact into the natural workspace of the user, to have those real-time interactions and be able to interact with the people in different ways and in real-time ways, not always having to sit down at a computer and log into a browser. Automated procurement is something else we're seeing, of being able to select t-shirt options or business card options and things, and have that be an app in Workday of, just the next step in the business process is select your business cards and lay those out, have an app to do that, and away you go. And exposing other systems, perhaps a departmental application or another corporate system that has perhaps an antiquated UI or just some difficulty in access control, but maybe you want to expose part of that data to a certain audience in Workday and have it be secured and have them, again, a consistent user experience. So we can create those screens and update that data in the other system, and that's another option for Extend as a use case. And then finally, data visualization. Workday's reporting for capability and functionality is very strong, and there's all sorts of beautiful things that we can do with those, and analytics and so on. This continues to extend that capability as well. If we have those same kinds of capabilities in Extend, and now we can use external data sources. Certainly Prism is an option for that as well, but sometimes we're integrating with something and pulling some data live from another place, but being able to show it on a map and see what that looks like. Sneak preview, that's part of what I think my hackathon project's going to be. Coming up in a few weeks. So there's going to be a lot of interesting pieces there. There are a lot of interesting pieces there that we can work with to really make the applications that we build pretty, but also powerful from the standpoint of data visualization. All right, I'm going to turn it over to a little bit of our experience on Workday Extend here. So we've been writing code with Workday Extend since 2017. So 3 years ago, it was first released at the hackathon. And we were surprised by the chance that we walked in. Here's this hackathon. We're sitting at tables. We're going to stay up all night and write code and compete and eat pizza and so on. And then they said, by the way, everybody, here's a brand new tool that you get to work with. And here's a web page about it. Why don't you go read it and go build something with it? And then we'll talk to you tomorrow and we'll see what you came up with. So that was our introduction, and it was lots of fun. And we came up with some neat tools and applications and have used it in the years since. We've been involved in developer programs, which has been multiple years of those. A Workday conference called Accelerate, which was all about getting started with Extend faster. We've done some buildable projects for Extend. And so we were talking about ideas of what we've seen customers do, but here's some other ideas about apps that we've built. Some of them were for customers, some of them were just for us as research projects and playing around with the capabilities. But Slack apps and bot interactions, local payroll data collection, being able to collect additional data that payroll needs, but maybe is not part of Workday, some specific fields that are very particular to a local payroll environment, being able to collect that in Workday and then pass it through on the integration. It's really interesting, powerful use cases there. Break time, we're going to show you that in a moment. We'll have a real demo of that Nicholas will show you in another slide or two. Personal protective equipment issuance and tracking that that these items got issued and how many to whom and so on, and when do we get them back, or do we have to charge them for it, and automatically putting that through to payroll. So lots of interesting things there. Company store, I kind of mentioned already, of being able to make those purchases automated payroll deductions. Service team, service desk management, managing volunteer time off and being able to contribute that or use that or volunteer opportunities. vehicle asset management with GPS integration, being able to track using business assets, the different vehicles and their mileage and so on. Even Fitbit, a fitness tracker of keeping track of people's steps and being able to store that in Workday and use that for challenges or rewards or spot bonuses and those kinds of things. So lots of different things we've had the pleasure to work on, and lots of different interesting experiences there. All right, so with break time, we had a unique situation. Well, California has some particular rules about it, and very strict rules that about taking breaks at particular times, and then having to compensate them with hours of pay. And Workday has some really strong functionality and capability around being able to see that this happened, to report that it happened, and to update the pay accordingly, update the penalty hour that might be necessary according to law, and so on. However, that's fairly manual, it's fairly reactive. And so what we wanted to do is have a more real-time situation, a real-time way of interacting with the system and being able to report and see what happened while it's happening. So Nicholas, I'll pass it over to you and invite you to take us through that app a little bit more and tell us about it.
Sure, thanks, Rob. So our Workday Extend solution for the California break time problem is that we want to provide value to customers, allowing them to be very proactive on how they deal with this situation created by the California break time law. Workday obviously has some built-in functionality to tell you after the fact what happened, what the legal ramifications of missed breaks and all that are, so that you can pay out penalty hours or whatnot. But what we wanted to do is give clients a way to really proactively deal with it in the moment to ensure the right outcome for their business. And so what we include in our solution is monitoring, ongoing monitoring of missed breaks, the ability to configure and manage how that's going to be monitored. And then what we'll run through is an example scenario here to show you kind of how it works in the different parts of the solution. So if I can jump over into our tenant here, first I'm going to run this report here just to show you I've got nothing up my sleeve. There's nothing in the tenant right now, no data there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to envision a company here called GMS Coffee. And they've got 2 coffee shops in California, one managed by Logan McNeil and one by Enrique Vasquez. And they want to keep track of their employee breaks in real time to make sure that employees are doing the right thing, both taking care of the customer, but also following company policy and procedure around break times, so that the company has the right outcomes in terms of the California break time law. So as I mentioned earlier, our app will be monitoring proactively throughout the day for missed breaks, but we also have the ability to come in and do a manual check whenever we want to. And what that's going to do is fire off a process. It's going to go look at the time entries within Workday and look for workers who have clocked in and are supposed to be taking a break but haven't yet. And so we found 3 of them right now. So what I'm going to do is jump back over here, rerun this, and what we'll see is that now inside the tenant, we have 3 workers, 2 reporting to Logan, Maria and Betty, and 1 reporting to Enrique, Terry, who need to take a break. And this is telling us that they have actually been notified of that. So those notifications are going to come out through the Workday notification system. They'll show up in their Workday desktop or app, and also email. So I've got them all redirected to my email here. So we'll see if those have shown up. There we go. So this first one's going to be Terry. So when Terry gets his notification, he's going to click on the link there. It's going to take Terry back into the tenant or the mobile app if he's on his phone. And it's going to let him respond. So in this case, we're going to say Terry's really busy. making coffee, talking to customers, didn't really notice the time. Now that he's been reminded, yeah, he's going to go ahead and take his meal break. So he's going to answer yes, hit OK, and we thank him for that. Tell him to enjoy his meal. And we're done there. And then he can go back about his business and go on his break. The next one we're going to say is Maria. She has a different experience in her store in that she would like to take a break, but she can't really step away right now. So she's going to go in and say that she can't step away. The line is out the door right now. So she puts that in, and we're going to tell her that her supervisors have now been notified that she intends to waive her meal break. And so we're going to jump over here and back to our report. I'm going to take a look at what's happening in the tenant for that. What we see in the tenant now is that, I got that reversed there. The first one was Maria, and the second one was Enrique. But Maria answered no, and so Logan was not notified. But we also know that Maria did not waive the break and is going to take that. So Terry said, can't step away, line is out the door. And we did notify Terry's manager that there is an intention there to waive that. So if we look at the notification again, we'll go back here. What we'll see is now Enrique, wherever he is, he's going to get an email, he's going to get a notification in his Workday app or in his notification inbox on the desktop that his employee, Terry Gibbons, has opted to waive their break, saying they can't step away, the line is out the door. Now this is in real time. Enrique can now take proactive action here to ensure the right outcome for his business, right? Is not something he's going to find out at the end of the shift or at the end of the week or at the end of the day when reports are run. He knows right now what the intention of his employee is, and he can deal with that in the moment. And then to go back to our report again, Workday, as I mentioned, has some built-in reports saying who missed their breaks and who's eligible for penalty time and such. But this here, married up to those delivered reports, this report that comes with our break time app, then allows you to put some color and context around what actually happened in the moment. And that can be used to drive better process, better training for more positive outcomes for the company. So that's the scenario that we wanted to run through there to kind of show how break time delivers that value of being able to proactively deal with the situation in the moment and also come back and have color and context to improve outcomes going forward. So we jump back into the slides. We'll talk about a little bit about the technology that we're using here. So the first three pieces of technology are part of the standard Workday Extend package. VPS is the visual presentation service layer, and that's what we're using to build these pages within the Workday tenant. That custom user interface that we saw when the employees went in to report on their break. Then REST APIs, these are a new lighter weight, more individualized set of APIs that Workday's been building out that allow us to pull very targeted pieces of data out of the tenant very quickly. So we're using that to check on their time breaks and to update those notifications. And then we're using the Message API or Connect API for notifications to send those emails and Workday inbox notifications. Now, Workday Extend also allows you to pull in external tools to enhance the capabilities of what you can do. So we are actually using AWS for a couple of pieces of configuration data instead of sticking that into the tenant, whereas the break time notifications themselves are custom objects in the tenant, and the configuration for the application itself is stored outside the tenant, so you don't have to waste one of your custom objects that you're allowed to store that data in the tenant. We're also using AWS for some custom business logic, so that that monitoring that we're doing, that's both scheduled and ad hoc, we're able to do that logic outside of Workday, be able to trigger that process to look for workers that need to take their breaks and send those notifications out. And so that is kind of a sampling of the really robust power that you get with Workday Extend to be able to do a lot of very technical things. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it back to Kaylee for questions.
Great, thank you. So we do have a couple questions. One question is, what could we use, or what could we do with Extend?
Yeah, so lots of different things, as I alluded to. This is Rob again. But I think if you look around your company and you think, what do we have as a department application? You know, or something that we have and do that's specific to our company, but maybe we don't want to have to maintain that anymore. Maybe we don't want to have to support that as a separate application anymore. Maybe we want to offer that as a better, more consistent user experience with strong security around it. That's something that could be looked at to repurpose parts of that into a Workday Extend app. Another thing would be if there's a process that is in Workday and maybe it's you need to augment that with a little more data or have a simpler screen. Some of those kinds of things are possibilities too. We have a customer who we're working to get started an engagement with where the web service has a little more functionality in Workday than the screen offers. And so we're going to build a Workday Extend screen that exposes some of that additional functionality and give them kind of a more powerful screen than the delivered UI, but it'll all be in the tenant and their users won't really know the difference. So it'll be a good situation there. So look for things to extend either the capability, the functionality, or to streamline capability and functionality and make things easier for people with some of those custom screens and flows and logic on the fields.
Awesome, thank you. And then the next question that we received was, what would an Extend engagement look like?
Sure, so a couple different points there. First, decide on a use case, and one of the things that we're happy to do and have done before is to come and visit with you or talk to you in a private Zoom session and talk about what are some of the needs and what are some of the opportunities in the organization, and kind of brainstorm together how does that work and what would that look like. Now, the use case has to be written up and submitted to Workday, and again, that's something that we can help with. You can hit the link on Community and start that process as well. But we know that there's some specific things that they're looking for, some specific answers that they want. So it can be more streamlined if we assist in that process of writing up that use case. Once that's approved, then there's paperwork and licensing and things to do there. But then we can get started on working on the application, and it follows a typical process as far as design and development, usually an agile development sprint cycle, and then testing that we do to make sure what we built works, but then testing that you do to make sure it meets the needs of the organization. And all the projects are going to, and then of course deployment, and all the projects are going to have some involvement from Workday resources as part of the team, and to help ensure that things go smoothly with their new offering. But we've been working on several of these projects and look forward to guiding people all the way through and helping them with their projects too.
Awesome. And then we have another question. Do you have a list of use cases from other companies to share?
We can certainly share the list of things that we've collected and put together in these slides. I don't have a complete list of every app. We can certainly request that of Workday and get some more details there, but sounds like there's somebody to follow up with and get a little more information for them and have a discussion with them.
Awesome. Rob, Nicholas, do you have anything else that you would like to discuss?
Just to say thanks everybody for attending. Enjoyed spending some time talking about a subject that I think Nicholas and I are both pretty passionate about, and look forward to working with you on an Extend project to make some neat applications for your organization that will produce a positive return on investment for you. Look forward to seeing you on some of our upcoming webinars about Extend and giving you lots more information and things to think about there.
Awesome, thank you. So that is the end of the webinar. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out and be on the lookout for the recording. We will send that to you, as well as we'll send an email with the additional Workday Extend webinars. Have a great day.